Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with another great Louisianian, a frequent guest and friend of the channel, Jonathan Pixley, coming to have a little standoff today and do a little bit of a back and forth. Nothing controversial, nothing combative, right? We're not gonna go to war here. I put together a pretty interesting topic today. It is the top 30 NBA players under age 30. Okay, so they cannot have turned 30 yet. They can be 29 years old. And first of all, Jonathan, what do you have to say? Anything? You're drinking over there. You're hydrating. You know it's going to be a long one. Is that what this is about?
Well, you said we're not going to war, but we're always going to war.
Okay.
So I am hydrating right now. I'm getting my mind right, and I'm ready to rock, dude. Let's go.
Okay, buckle in. Here's the criteria, just so everybody's on the same page. It is as though we wipe the NBA clean. And there are 30 NBA teams, the same 30 franchises that we know and we love today. They don't have any players on their team. And every single player in the NBA is wiped clean from the roster. And we are choosing those players that are under 30 years old only, right? So that's going to weed out a lot of the great stars of the NBA, but we're doing only under 30 years old. The goal is for you as the GM to rank those 30 in order of which players you think would get you the most wins and the most titles. Basically, make your franchise the most successful. We're looking for franchise cornerstones, the face of the franchise, in order of priority. Number one is obviously the one we want, right? I'm not going to be a spoiler alert. We probably are going to pretty close agree on that. All the way through number 30, which is anxiety-ridden and miserably impossible because there aren't 30 franchise players. I don't know if you came to that conclusion, but I did when I put this list together. Did you find the same type of problem distinguishing between 20 and 30?
There are definitely not 30 franchise players.
Okay, so
we'll get into, I guess, where we talked about a cutoff for let's play on a title team and all that.
Remind me when we get there. The people are going to want to know where we think the cutoff is from guys that you and I both believe. Well, we may not be on the same page. We may be off a few numbers here, but how many NBA players under age 30 can be the best player on a title team and can be the best player on a contending team? Because the list is not 30 deep. I don't think.
Oh, no. I'm close. Yeah.
Okay. So the goal is to win as many games as you can in 7 years. I'm switching you over to picture-in-picture. We're going to pull up my little spreadsheet. Again, I want to be clear. I put this spreadsheet together without looking at any numbers, okay? So 1 through 30. This was gut instinct. This was the eye test. This was watching buku NBA games ad nauseum every evening when I get home. League Pass. I'm a League Pass fiend. This is just watching games using the eye test. I'm not basing this on PER or VORP or wins against replacement or offensive or defensive rating or any of those like higher analytics. This is do I think this is the dude that can take my team to the promised land, right? And that incorporates a lot more than statistics. It's is it a guy you can hand the ball to in the fourth quarter? Is it a guy that can play both ends of the court, et cetera, et cetera? And so I'm sure you use the same criteria. We kind of discussed that beforehand, that it's not just a test of which NBA players under 30 have the best statistical measures, because there's a lot more than that.
Well, I will tell our viewing audience this ahead of time that I don't know how much time you're going to spend on the honorable mention, but I'm going to go to sleep whenever you do, because this group right here, there are 2 names on it to me that are relevant. And do you mind if I go ahead and start by saying that?
Yeah, you can't start. We're going to go through these. We're going to go through these quick, real fast, I promise. And here's the plan. We don't know, but I think what's going to happen is this is going to turn into a 2-part deal where we release one day and then we release another the other day, because people are not going to want to sit for 3 hours and listen to us talk. Maybe they will, but not everybody. So we're going to break it into 2 pieces, and we're going to get through we're going to get through honorable mention and then 30 through 16, and then we'll save the top 15 for a separate video, because I think we're going to want to talk a little bit longer about those 15, because those are legitimate guys that we think might put a ring on their finger someday. Maybe not 15, but close to 15. So all right, I'm going to start cranking through honorable mention. I've got it pulled up. Okay, so on your screen, I've actually got honorable mention broken down as well. That's how OCD and nerdy I am. So that first shaded group right there is the furthest away from being in my top 30. Remember, this is my list. This is not our list. You're going to pick my list apart. This is my list. That peach kind of reddish shaded is the furthest away. The next group is in no particular order, but it's kind of that middle tier of honorable mention. And then the green guys are the guys that I've literally considered putting into our top 30. Anybody stand out in that red group that you think I missed? Could be a top 30 guy.
Jarrett Allen, potentially, even though I think he's overrated. I don't ever see him being much better than maybe a better version of Clint Capella, for example. Yeah. Because I think Bridges is overrated as well. I mean, I know that
I do too.
He's a great, third wheel. I don't think he would be the third best player on a championship team.
Well, he's not the third best player on his team right now.
Right. And then Jaren Jackson, I think, is the most overrated player in the NBA besides the most overrated player in the history of the NBA, Draymond Green. So I would say Jaren Jackson.
You just made big enemies right there, man. You're going to make enemies with that. But I love it. You're speaking the truth because you know how I feel about Draymond Green. Right place, right time. Good player that appears to be great because of what's around him. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I think we can both agree. Jarrett Allen's the fourth best player on his team. Did he make an all-star team? Yeah, that's great. So do a lot of people. There's a long list of people that have made an all-star team that don't win a ring as the best player on their team. He's going to be on that long list.
Was he a replacement also for an injury?
I think he might have been, Jonathan. I don't know for sure. He might have been injured and maybe he was replaced. I don't remember. But is there a more boring person to watch play in an all-star game? No offense, because he's a really good NBA player. He's a really good young player. He's got a great throw, plays hard. He does all those things, right? He's straight out of the 70s. I love him, but
Artis Gilmore. That's
there you go.
A little smaller Artis Gilmore. But no, I agree. And I don't think again, these guys. I know the Knicks are banking on Barrett because they didn't want to sell out to Donovan Mitchell. He's not going to be that dude. None of these guys are going to be in the top 30. I mean, they don't belong there, in my opinion.
I've got notes on him. Mikal Bridges, we can agree. He's just not good enough offensively to be the best player on an NBA team. He never will be. I think he's a great glue guy. I think he's, he's a very, very good defender. He's a very versatile defender. He might be one of the 10 best defenders in the NBA. Right. But his offense is so glaringly lacking that I just don't think he even sniffs the top 30 for sure. Yeah. Jarrett Allen, we talked about. John Collins, see Jarrett Allen. He's a little bit better shooter, can do a little bit more on offense, but he's not a good defender. From what I've seen, I don't think he's got a reputation of being a good defender, and he's not in the top 2 players on his team anymore now that Dejounte Murray's there, right? So there's 2 players better than him, at least, on the Hawks.
Well, and I also think that Collins, ironically, I know he's only 24 years old, but I don't know. I don't see where he gets a lot better.
We've seen it.
Yeah, I think so.
Have we seen it? Have we not also seen it for Jarrett Allen and Mikal Bridges as well? I know it's weird to say about a 24, 26, but it's like how much more can they do? They're not high usage guys. They're just not ever going to be high usage rate guys.
Yeah, the only way Jarrett Allen has a higher ceiling is if he's a person that they throw the ball into the post in, and nobody does that anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, we haven't really seen him do much when they do throw it in there anyway. I mean, it's not like he's got this arsenal of moves or anything like that. I mean, he's just a really good rim runner, a great teammate, and a great defender. I don't know what else to say. Okay, enough on him. Jaren Jackson Jr., absolutely one of the most overrated players in the NBA. People were talking defensive MVP. That was the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my life. He is a horrific shooter. He's not a center at all, in my opinion. I don't think he's an NBA center. I don't think he has a great basketball IQ. His shooting is getting worse every year for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it is, which is, kind of counterintuitive because usually players' shooting percentages increase a little bit as they play. I mean, I think about Kidd and Rondo and, Vince Carter and all these guys that could not shoot a basketball that end up being pretty dang good shooters in the NBA. And even bigs, their shooting percentages usually get a little bit bigger as they start to understand what a good shot is, and they just shoot the damn thing so much in practice and warm-ups and shoot-arounds. When you do something a million times, you get better at it. Jaren Jackson Jr., your thoughts on him? Nowhere near the top 30.
Not even close. He shoots a chest pass to the goal first of all.
Yeah, it's bad. You should release it above your nipples. I read that somewhere. Like your release should be above your nipples, no matter how
11, right?
No matter how high or low your nipples rest on your body, your release should be above them.
Well, I mean, yes, if they were in an abnormal position, it still should be above them, even if they're on your forehead. That's the way I look at it. So
even with nipples on your shoulder. Lonzo Ball, no, I mean, just I like him. He's great. No chance. Yeah. He's not even in the conversation. RJ Barrett is a volume shooter. I did not realize how bad his shooting percentages from the free throw line and field goal percentage was. He's really bad. His assist to turnover is really bad, and he's not a point. And I think he's probably too slow to play to guard the 2 position. I think he's a 3. I think he's going to be a small forward because he's a pretty good size, 6'6", 215, but could be 6'6", 230 one day. I think he's a 3, don't you?
Yeah, at best, he's an empty stat guy on a bad team, and even those empty stats won't be super impressive.
Yeah, not a top 30 guy. Yeah, he's never. And we're not here to debate who's 37 or we're going to piss some people off who are RJ Barrett fans who thinks he's the 29th best player in the league. Whatever, that's great. We're here to talk about the cream of the crop, but we're going to whip through here. Fred Van Vleet, he's just too old. We've seen the best he is. He is an all-star, but that doesn't make you one of the 30 best under 30 in the league when it comes to most likely to win a title, right? He might be better right now today than some of the guys that I have in my top 30 list, but 7 years from now, he's 35 years old. I mean, how much will he weigh is the question. Will he weigh more than Kyle Lowry or less?
Will he beat John Bagley is the question. I think that he probably will. He's not going to continue to improve, but he could probably still be effective just because obviously his game is not relied on athleticism. But here's the deal. He's not in anybody's discussion as to who you would put as your 3rd pick on a championship team. So
okay, fair. I really like him. He's on my fantasy team. He's a stat stuffer. I love the guy. But if you want to see what Fred Van Vleet looks like when he's 35, go watch Kyle Lowry play.
Yes.
Ben Simmons, I don't know what to say.
I do.
Oh God. Okay, I'll let you do it because Go ahead.
So he might be on the all what if team in the history of basketball. And I'm not talking about injuries, right? That's a Grant Hill, Tracy McGrady, Anfernee Hardaway, discussion. When you're talking about what ifs, I think, and this may tick some people off, but just bear with me. I believe Ben Simmons is one of the 10, no lower than 15 most gifted players to ever touch an NBA court. When I talk about gifts, I mean range, physically, leaping ability, speed, unique skill set. I know he can't shoot. I know he'll never be able to shoot. I understand that. But I'm talking about from a pure standpoint of being able to affect more areas of the game than anybody else. And based on pure athleticism, he would be in that mix. I mean, he's LeBron-like physically, not as strong, but you know what I'm saying? Like that type of athlete. But the what if does he have the mind of an 8-year-old, or is he from a standpoint of maturity? I'm not talking about, I think the guy's a basketball genius. I think he understands the game.
He is a basketball genius. Agreed.
I just don't think, well, how about this? I know he's somebody you can't count on. So
that's right. And look at my notes here, Jonathan. My notes, the very first note I wrote was, can we ever trust this guy to play?
Right.
Right. I saw him shrink on the biggest stage, and then I saw him not get on the stage the very next year. That's just – it's tough to come back from that stuff, man. And if I'm a GM and I'm picking my 30 best, there's other guys out there where I don't question that aspect. They may not be 6'11", 240 and be able to guard 5 positions like Ben Simmons can. I think he's probably the most versatile defender in the NBA. And I think Giannis is probably a close second. That's just my opinion. But, man, he's not in our top 30. Let's keep moving. Next group, anybody in here stand out that you would think could sneak into your top 30?
2 guys.
Tell me.
One specifically, SGA. I know that he is a dude who is off the radar because of OKC and their tank job. I think if you put him in a situation where he felt like he had a chance to win and actually let him play 82 games as opposed to sitting for half of them, I think he could be that dude because I do believe he has that it. The other guy who I know he I don't know, he's trending kind of even at this point as opposed to down, but certainly not up, is De'Aaron Fox. I think Fox is an absolute maniac athletically, Westbrookish type, which granted, I know like everybody thinks Westbrook right now, but let's think Westbrook back in OKC days.
First ballot Hall of Famer Westbrook, right?
Yeah, right. I'm just saying in the top 30. Now,
yes.
I would not put them I would never pick either one of them as a guy to start a franchise with, but maybe in the top 30, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's two. I like that you picked those two. They're both 24. They're both on shitty teams with, you can call the OKC a good franchise or whatever, and Presti gets a lot of credit, but he's done a lot of dumb stuff too, to be quite honest with you. Sacramento Kings is just an absolute wasteland. It's basically a G League team. If we had relegation in America like they do in like other leagues over in Europe, they would be relegated and they would not be in the NBA. But, the issue with both of those guys is their shooting is regressing. And again, we talked about that up above with, I forget who, Jaren Jackson, I think. But wow, like what's going on? Like De'Aaron Fox, if he could develop a consistent three-point shot, he would be absolutely unguardable. There's no question about it. And both of them get into the paint pretty damn much at will already, Jonathan, and neither one of them can shoot it to save their life. They couldn't throw it in the ocean. They remind me of each other. De'Aaron Fox put up all-star worthy numbers last year, and I think they gave it to C.J. McCollum, that injury spot. They gave it to C.J. McCollum, which, again, I love C.J. McCollum too, so I'm not going to slight him. But both of them 24. Both of them have shooting issues, and that's really what dictates whether or not they're franchise-type guys. The only difference between those two is De'Aaron Fox got the bag, man. He got it. He signed the max because, Sacramento's never going to get a free agent. So if they didn't give him the max, they were never going to get another player like him. But, I don't know. They're both regressing, and they both worry me. The thing that worries me about SGA, and again, this is not going to apply on our list because, he doesn't have any teammates theoretically in this hypothetical that we're looking at. But, in OKC, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the point guard? If he is, that means Josh Giddey's the two guard. And guess who's a worse shooter than SGA? Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
And they're not, it's not coincidental that they're listed right there next to each other on my list. Now, again, Josh Giddey's 5 years younger. Josh Giddey may learn to shoot. Most dudes that come from Australia can shoot a basketball, although Ben Simmons is from Australia as well. So, I don't know. I grouped those two guys together. I like them both. I think they both have all-star potential. They got to learn to shoot the basketball. That's really it. But they both kind of put up empty stats.
I think their environment dictates a lot of that. I think the fact that the players surrounding them, and also – if you're playing in a place where you can't win, all of a sudden if you're a competitor, which I believe both of these dudes are.
I see that.
You're going to take bad shots because you're trying to win. But then if you're SGA, you're like, screw it. Well, I know we're trying to tank, so who gives a crap? But I'm looking at it going, take SGA and put him in Tyler Herro's spot in Miami. Who do you think's better?
Or Jordan Clarkson. Even come off the bench like in Utah or something like that in an environment where you got pros around you,
Yeah, take Fox and put him in Tyrese Maxey's spot. And I think Maxey's a stud, don't get me wrong, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I think dudes spots, all of a sudden it's totally different. They're getting different shots, their percentages go up, so on and so forth.
Desmond Bane, same deal. I was surprised. I did take a look at his numbers. I thought he was more of a catch and shoot and a true bucket getter and not quite as much of a creator. I looked at his numbers. His numbers were a little bit better than I thought they were. He's a really efficient dude, man. I really like him a lot. I like his bicep.
He's a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Let's start there, right? For a guy that can't straighten his arms, he can shoot the piss out of it. So, my notes are really efficient shooter, showing flashes. I think he might be right there, 36, 37. So I don't mean to disparage him. I know a lot of basketball card collectors and NBA fans are really high on him. I just think, the room between where he's at right now, which is a really good player, and his ceiling, I just don't think there's that much more that he can do, just given his length, his relatively average athleticism, his relatively average, measurements, his relatively average horizontal athleticism, all those things. It's just a great shooter, man, and a really good dude you want on your team or in a fight for that matter if you're in an octagon,
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You pulled Fox and Alexander out of there. I like those guys too from a prospect standpoint because they got a lot of upside if they can just get more proficient shooting the ball. My next five I have in green. These are guys that just missed, and you'll notice there's something in common. They're all crazy young. 22 is the old, 22. Simons just turned 23. 22, 21, 22, 21, 23. Anybody from those five that you think that you would have in your top 30 list that I chose to put just on the outside looking in?
I wouldn't have Wagner in the list, in that tier of the list.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have Herro in that tier of the list, and I would replace those two with the two that I said from above.
Fair.
I think Herro is another one of those guys that Yeah, he's super young, but ceiling-ish, and then also watching him, it seemed as though he was more interested in being cool and how he was dressed on the sidelines with that injury that he had than actually getting out and competing in a playoff series. Something I do not believe Fox and SGA would do. And again, that's just my opinion. I'm gonna be honest with you too. I'm not sold on Haliburton. I know he's super young, and I think he's gonna be a really good pro. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, what is that? Does that make him? I mean, are you saying he's Chauncey Billups? Or are you saying he's? And I know this is not a good comp, but you get my point from an effectiveness standpoint. Or is he? I don't know. I
see Ron Harper.
Okay.
Young Ron Harper, right? People remember old Ron Harper on the Bulls, who was just like, limping around. But I mean, like
Brogdon type, and I'm like, okay, Brogdon's a really good pro. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But Brogdon would never be in a discussion for, let me start my team with this guy.
And that's kind of my point. And that's why I put that down there, because we're talking about dudes that we think are maybe in the 30 to 50 range of the best players on planet Earth. So I don't, it sounds like we're trashing these guys, right? These would be third round guys, right? These would be the third best player on championship teams. Some of these guys, right? And some of them have tremendous upside. I worry about Haliburton because I haven't seen an ounce of a mid-range game. And you can't be the guy that you give the ball to in the fourth quarter in an NBA game if you're only shooting threes and layups. You just can't be it. And maybe he gets there. I don't know. I just don't know. But he had really good splits. He's a really efficient player, and we knew that he was a really mature player coming out of Iowa State. I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah, Cyclones. Right. And 15-8-4 is really good numbers. But again, empty stats, right? He's doing it where Fox is doing. He's doing it where SGA is doing it, and Giddey's doing it, and he's doing it in Sacramento and Indiana, and they just don't. They're not relevant, and so. We got to see, we got to see him what he does on a contender team and what he does in the playoffs. But it might be a while, for any of those guys that we just mentioned before we see any of those guys in the playoffs.
My deal is, okay, those are his numbers. Fox and SGA have been putting up better numbers than that.
Way bigger.
Almost their whole career,
From day one. Way bigger, yeah. Well, SGA had to wait a little bit, in Los Angeles with the Clippers, but you're right. Fox from the jump was putting up numbers. I'd have to go look, but I would think Fox would be around 15-8-4 his rookie year. I'd probably have to go check it out. But Fox was 24 a game, and he doesn't assist the ball as much as he should. But let's keep going. Okay, Tyrese Maxey and Anfernee Simons. These guys I literally did put thought into. And people hate me. They know how much I care about Anfernee Simons and how I'm not exactly the most objective person.
We all do.
You all know that, right? So I like being right? I've been right on a couple of guys. I've been wrong on a couple of guys too. No, I'm really high on Simons. I think he's one of the best shooters in the league, and I think he's got the potential to become a much better shooter as he bulks up and gets stronger. The best upside of in my opinion, he's got the best upside of anybody in this honorable mention list. If he can play that point guard position, he's not going to get that chance to do that. We saw it in glimpses, right? And the reason I'm high on him is, he was 25-5, on 45, 40, 85. But this is the season where, that's over stretches. This is the season where, all right, you need to be the second leading scorer on this team. Dame Lillard's going to lead this team in scoring. I think he's going to explode this year. I think Damian Lillard is going to push 30 a game because that's the only way they win. I don't think that Blazers team gets into the playoffs unless Dame goes bananas. Because we know Nurkic is going to get hurt because he always does. Yeah. And then I think Anfernee Simons has to be the number 2 guy, and I think he's got to push 20, 22, 23 points a game. I think those two guys together need to score 58 to 60 points a game.
Yeah, but the reality is, even if they do that, they're not getting into the playoffs. So I wonder, at what point does Portland again start to look to push Dame and put him on the block somewhere? I mean, again, with that contract, I'm not sure who in the world will be able to take him. But the point is, Simons is a stud. Okay, and I know, for at the very beginning of it, you told me, you were like, you got to see this dude play. While I have disagreed with you on certain guys that we will eventually get to, actually, there's nobody that can question your Anfernee Simons call or your Giannis call. Nobody can that one. So, I'm with you on that. Maxey's an interesting one to me. I think he's a great piece potentially on a title team. I love the pace that he plays at. I think he's going to get better and better and better. And I think he's starting to figure out ways to score other than just being a catch and shoot or all the way to the rim. His mid-range, his different stuff he's added to his game.
I see both of them.
Dude cares a lot.
Apparently. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Jonathan, those guys have a lot in common. Their bodies are different. The way they score is different, but what they have in common is they're both young. They both have a huge ceiling, and they both are 3-level scorers. Because I started to see this year Maxey scoring from the mid-range. And, coming out of Kentucky, the whole deal with Maxey was, is he ever going to learn how to shoot? That sucker came out banging, man. I mean, a really good shooter his first 2 years in the league. And so hopefully he can keep that going. You had to pick one, Maxey or Simons, right now. If you had to pick one of those two guys, you take Simons.
And again, that's to start my team with.
Yep. All right, we're through honorable mention. Anybody from that green group you would put in your 30?
No.
Okay, but just the Fox and the SGA.
And those are borderline. You'll hear why later.
We'll hear why. All right, I'm gonna start revealing these. Let me see if I can figure this out. My old man game here. Let's see. Go here, boom, boom. Number 30, Bam Adebayo. I've got Bam Adebayo as my 30th player on my draft list. He's 25 years old, 7 years into the future. Remember, we're looking at this 7-year window. Win as many games as you can and help us win a title. I think he'd be the 30th most helpful player to win me a title. And I think he would be the most helpful on the defensive end. I don't think you're going to disagree with that. I think the big question with Bam Adebayo is offense. Where can his offensive game go? We saw what he did maybe in bubble basketball a couple of years back. I don't see the progression offensively from that point to today, and that's what worries me about him. What do you think about Bam?
Yeah, when he was in the bubble, he was looking to take that mid-range. He was looking to be aggressive in a secondary break situation after getting a defensive rebound, especially with the spacing that the Heat offered at that point with Duncan Robinson actually being relevant at the time. And so, he could get to the rim, but he was looking to score. I was looking at last year. I'm like, what in the world? And then, look, there were games he'd go a half getting a rebound. It's just like he just disappeared at times. So I don't know. Talent-wise, no question he could do that. He would not be my 30th, though. I would have him higher. But I don't know how you want to go about this. You want to go back and forth?
I want to know, is he one of the ones you'd bump for SGA or Fox?
No, he is not. He would be – I actually have Bam at my 27th spot.
Okay. Well, not too far off. Look, this is not a zero-sum game. This is going to be tough, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And again, part of it depends on how much you value offense and defense. And do you believe offense wins championships or defense wins championships? And we've seen both manners do it, but recently it's been more offense than defense. Yeah. But, okay, so Bam 30 for me, 27 for you. He's 25 years old. 7 years from now, he's still on the tail end of his prime. So he's got a full prime 7 pretty much in there. It's just a question, I think we can agree, how good of an offensive player can Bam Adebayo become, and why hasn't he over the last 2 years? Okay. Again,
I feel like I need to go ahead and tell you who my 30th player is because it's going to sum up. It'll make sense out of why SGA and Fox were where they were.
Tell me.
Anthony Davis would be my 30th player. Okay. And I'll go ahead and lump him in with my 29th player, which is Zion Williamson. And while from a talent standpoint, Zion, and again,
people just stopped watching the video, by the way.
I have the huge
people just clicked off. They just unsubscribed. I just lost 100 subscribers.
If you let me explain, maybe they won't shut off. They've already shut off. Right?
Good luck.
So Zion Williamson, to me, knowing what I know now about his background and about his entourage, that when he shows up at a team meal, he doesn't eat the food that the team has provided. He has 2 caniacs whenever he shows up because that's what his entourage brings him. Okay. And then I know he's leaned out or whatever, but I don't trust either one of those dudes to stay healthy. And so while if you asked me, if you said, okay, you told me looking to the future, Zion is going to stay healthy the rest of his career and he's going to care about his weight, he would be number 3 on my list.
Wow. Okay.
I do not think that will ever happen. So I'm putting him all the way down. In fact, if I had my druthers, I'd remove both of them off of the list because I think Anthony Davis is one of the softest players to ever play basketball. And I think he won his title. And now it's like, I'm done. I'm good. Moving on. And so that's where I would slide Fox and SGA in. Not that I think Fox and SGA are in the same stratosphere. as either one of them from a talent standpoint. But also, again, huge ifs right next to both of those guys. You tell me that they're both going to be healthy and they're both going to care. These are huge ifs. Dude, both of them are in my top 6 to 8. Zion's my number 3. Okay?
Yeah. Your concern is that, we hear this all the time. NBA teams take on the persona of their best player.
Yes.
And your concern with both of those guys is not what can they do, it's what will they do.
I'm not starting a team.
Zion, it's how many chicken fingers can he eat, right?
Yeah. I'm not starting a team with 2 guys I can't trust.
Yeah, I feel you. I am going to give – we're going to get there because we're about to talk about Bradley Beal, who I have at 29, and he's age 29, and that's probably the primary reason. But we're going to talk about both those. I give Zion the benefit of the doubt because he's very young. And, we've seen some players come into the league very immature and then turn into be great pros, right? Chauncey Billups, you brought his name up earlier, is another great example. Chauncey Billups is a huge pain in the ass. Nobody wanted that dude on their team. And he ended up being the consummate pro. He was almost Joe Dumars 2.0 for the same franchise, and became a mentor and became a Hall of, is he a Hall of Famer? I think he is.
He's a Hall of Famer, but Chauncey Billups was not 285 pounds with a foot problem.
I'm trying to give you an example of players maturing after they enter the league. Okay.
It's happened over and over again.
For instance, Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. might be president one day. Is that fair? Okay. Right? If he gets his shit together. Okay. So let's talk about Bradley Beal, and then we'll put your Zion hate on the side for a second. Can we put that hate? I mean, it's not even in video episode number 1. We should even be talking about Zion. So you need to relax there with that. I know that story you just told is not an opinion. I know it came from a source that we both know and trust. And so it's not a question of did it happen. It happened. Yep. It's just a question of did it happen once? Or is this dude, knocking down Caniacs daily, right?
It was happening. That's the thing.
Okay. All right. I don't want to reveal stories.
One war. Yeah.
Dude, hydrate. Zion has got you so dehydrated. Bradley Beal. I have Bradley Beal here because I thought he was too good. I think we're done. I think we're done thinking Bradley Beal can be the best player on a franchise team. I probably should have moved him out for a Tyrese Maxey or a Simons or a Franz Wagner, because those guys, we don't know if their window's closed. I think we probably know Bradley Beal's window's closed as the potential best player on a championship team. He'll be 36 at the end of this 7-year window in our hypothetical. I probably made a mistake there. Would you have Bradley? You have got Bradley Beal in your top 30, I guess.
I have Bradley Beal as my 26th pick.
Okay, so we're right at the tail end. So we're at or near the same on that one. Okay, yep. Let's move on from Bradley Beal. I could be persuaded by you and the people watching the channel. Don't flame me in the comments. I could see where maybe I reached on Bradley Beal. I just when Wall went down and he kind of took over that point wing position, he put up crazy numbers. But again, it was for the Wizards and it didn't really matter. So I could be persuaded to move him out and move one of those green or maybe even a couple of yellow level guys in his spot. Okay, next on the list, Anthony Davis. I don't really want to talk about him. I can't stand the guy.
Thank you. Move on.
Let's move on. Okay. And the only reason I put him in there is because he is talented enough to possibly win a title in the next couple years, but he's kind of semi-shut it down, it seems like already, but there's always that hope every year. We're like, healthy Anthony Davis. Oh, what does a healthy Anthony Davis do for the Lakers? And then it's like, well, when are we going to see a healthy Anthony Davis that also cares about playing?
Look, anytime the two words "what if" start your topic discussion about a player, and that is more times than not, then you can't count on them. So it's over.
Yeah. All right. I got Zach LaVine at number 27. I'm a little concerned because I think he did have off-season knee surgery. Top 10 scorer in the NBA, just straight up bucket getter. Put the ball in the basket, put up points per game, green light city, score at all 3 levels for sure, and look like it's really fun doing it. I kind of group him with Bradley Beal. I feel like he's got a couple years on Beal left, couple years left meat on the bone, but I could be persuaded to move a Maxey, a Simons, an SGA, a Fox. He reminds me of Siakam. He's just the different players, but like they're right at the tail end. It's hard. It's hard to compare a 21-year-old or 22-year-old who we don't quite know what their ceiling is to Zach. Their ceiling might not even be Zach LaVine.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's fair to say, I mean, there's a chance Anfernee Simons, Maxey, Herro, Wagner, Haliburton, they may never be as good as Zach LaVine, but you know what? They may be better. Whereas with Zach LaVine, we kind of know, right? We kind of know we're going to get a bunch of wins, right? Maybe. Although the Bulls haven't really, but I don't know. Zach LaVine's there. We're spending too much time on this. I mean, these guys are all
Beal. He was 25th to me. Beal was 26th.
Same as Beal. Yeah, I'm with you. Similar players, similar position. You know, he's not a point guard. He's really a true scoring wing, which doesn't really exist in the NBA.
I think it's important that you clarify this. What you said it at the beginning. When you start talking about all these guys and you say like, okay, you know, Zach LaVine's probably one of the 10 best scorers in the league. Yeah, maybe 10 to 12, whatever. But ultimately, it comes down to who do you think is going to affect winning?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Zach LaVine has never affected winning, ever.
Obviously. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just reality. I mean, DeRozan steps into the Bulls and is their best player right off the bat last year. And
it was
DeRozan
weird.
Was not, yeah, exactly.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, indeed. Not at all.
Yeah. I don't think anybody was. I remember reading an article that said DeMar DeRozan was the worst free agent signing of the entire summer, and it ended up being the best. You know, and it just defied odds.
Fifth ranked player in the league or something crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that probably was what sparked him. He was so pissed off about that, as he should have been. He's a much better player than that. I've got Jalen Green here just because he can sit his ass on the rim. I don't know what else to say. He's going to take 14 threes a game. The guy's in love with shooting the three ball. I think he's got here. This is going to be a horrible thing to say, but I remember, I don't want to compare him to Kevin Durant. All I'm going to say is I remember watching Kevin Durant as a rookie, and he was on my fantasy team, and I was very frustrated, Jonathan, because Kevin Durant could not get to his spots. Yeah. He could not get clean looks. He took terrible contested twos and really struggled to get to the rim because he weighed 95 pounds, right? Yeah. I saw the same type of struggle from Jalen Green. The things that Jalen Green struggles with can be fixed by eating and by lifting weights and just by getting older as a human man on planet Earth. And those three things are inevitable. People are going to eat, they're going to weigh more, and they're going to progress physically in the NBA. You can't not, right? And so for that reason, I've got Jalen Green in here. I think all of his deficiencies will be remedied with 2 years of gaining weight. A 230-pound Jalen Green is pushing Anthony Edwards type stuff. That's just my opinion.
I don't know, man. I have him at 28, so we're not far off. And the reason I have him at 28 is because below Beal and LaVine, because although he is significantly more athletic than Beal, right? People forget how athletic Zach LaVine was not too long ago.
He's
still is
exceptional.
Yeah. I think his top end is that. And when you think top end, I mean, Beal averaged 30 a couple times. LaVine's in that 27, 28 range, you know, so this is not a bad top end to be in. I just think he has one of the lowest basketball IQs of anybody I've ever seen come into the league. And I know he's young. I got it. I understand that. But he has no understanding of good and bad shot. And then on top of that, he's in a toxic environment in Houston with another guy who's the exact same way.
How dare you? Well, how dare you?
No, super talented, but completely toxic, right? And those two guys playing together where they're playing make it, take it basically is not a good thing. And I don't know. I just don't see him ever being in that tier. So I was shocked. I really thought you'd have him higher than that because I knew you were high on his talent. But we agree.
I'm sitting here wondering, why didn't I put Kevin Porter Jr. Higher than Jalen Green? I think he's going to end up being better than Jalen Green. I know I'm in the minority with that, right? But, you know, that I feel a way about Kevin Porter Jr. that I felt about Anfernee Simons, to be quite honest with you.
You could have put his name there, and I would have put him in 28 as well. Like, it would have been the same thing for me. And I think he's super talented. Super talented.
Done. We just did it.
Yep. Well, you take him first, and I'll take
it's settled.
I'll take Paolo Banchero, and I'll win. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, that's number 26. Let's move on. And you know what? You got to give the Rockets a chance. They got some – we'll see. I don't like Jabari Smith, to be honest with you. I was really hoping they were going to get Chet or whatever, but it turns out they dodged a bullet with no Chet. I got Deandre Ayton, 25. It's tough. I didn't know what to do with him. He's too good to be honorable mention. But, you know, what's funny is he was on the open free agent market and nobody really wanted him, which is kind of like odd. I guess maybe they all wanted him, but they didn't want him at the max price that he was going to command, you know, and that everybody knew Phoenix would match. So I really thought that the Pacers were going to do something to get him, and they just didn't, and they chose to stay put. Maybe they're thinking they're going to do something with the Lakers with Miles Turner and those guys. But I've got DeAndre Ayton in number 25. He's only 24 years old. He has shown progress, unlike Bam Adebayo. He has shown progress offensively, getting better. And the knock on him was, he was a terrible defender, which everyone thought he was going to be a great defender. He was a really stiff, terrible defender, I think, his rookie year. And I think he's gotten better as a defender. He's better as a positional defender. Again, still doesn't block shots like you would think a freak athlete monster would.
Is he a freak athlete? He's not a freak athlete, man.
Dude, vertically he is. I think horizontally he doesn't move well. I think he is a freak athlete. For sure.
I don't at all. I think he should block more shots than he does, but I don't think he's a freak athlete.
Do you think he's more athletic than we are?
Not than you. You're pretty salty still.
Yeah.
Definitely more athletic than I am.
All right. Where's Ayton on your list then?
I have him at 21.
Oh, wow. You're higher on him. You're higher on this stupid non-athlete that's no good at basketball.
And
wow.
I'm the one, right, exactly. But I think that when you say, like, who's going to affect winning more,
yeah,
I think look, the reality is all these guys we're naming, they're never going to be the best player on a title team. Right?
Not yet. We're not there yet. Well,
no, I'm just saying, like, they're not going to. But
we're not there yet. You're right. You're right, Jonathan. I agree with you. And that's the question I kept asking myself. I was like, well, we're splitting hairs here because we have not gotten to that player yet that I can see holding up the Bill Russell MVP trophy as the guy who just won the title. I can't see it yet.
I think Ayton affects winning more than Zach LaVine, who was my 20. That's over the next 7 years. That's
he's got more tread on the tire. And right now we're not talking about. We're not even to the title, who's going to win the most titles. We're talking about who's going to do the best for your franchise, put butts in the seats, and win the most games, right? And so that's why we're kind of splitting hairs. We would agree DeAndre Ayton is not Bill Russell Finals title winner, MVP award winner. Okay. But we do like him a lot. And he might make 6 or 7 All-Star teams. Fair?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah.
He may make 3 third-team All-NBA center by the time he's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He may. Who knows? We'll see.
I got Dejounte Murray. And he's, man, look, he is like what Haliburton wants to be. That kind of jack of all trades, stuffing the stat sheet in all 5 categories. I really think Haliburton is a younger version of Dejounte Murray, but not nearly as athletic or explosive. What really took Dejounte Murray's game to the next level last season was learning to shoot the ball. Like, he became a 3-point threat, or at least you had to respect him at the 3-point line, which you and I both know when you can shoot the hell out of the ball, it makes your first step look a lot faster and a lot more effective.
You're just a lot better at basketball when you can shoot.
Yeah. It's still the most important skill in the game.
You can tell he may be the most important skill in all of sports. You can tell that he is that you and I have talked a lot of basketball over our 48 years, over the 35 years that we've I have him at 23rd.
Yeah, we're close, man. I mean, we're really close on a lot of these. And you've already convinced me to move Beal and Zach LaVine out and put Fox and SGA in there. So we are really close.
I didn't convince you because I wanted you to put Anthony Davis and Zion out. But that's
I'm not putting Zion out because I think that, at some point somebody's going to put a muzzle on him and not feed him fried chicken or cheeseburgers or Jack in the Box or whatever they eat, whatever he's eating, whatever those big guys eat, right? But you know what? I saw Charles Barkley weigh 975 pounds, and he's a Hall of Famer. So, again, people mature. At some point, Barkley figured it out. And remember the weird-shaped Barkley that played for the Rockets late in his career? And remember Chris Paul was a little pudgy little dude, and he's figured it out with the vegan stuff. You don't think at some point Zion's pride kicks in? You just think he's
No, it's not that. It's not that. It really has little to do with that. I think there's a good chance that he matures and wants to do it. I'm saying now that he has foot injuries, it's going to be a problem moving forward. That's my biggest problem. I think he can be the fittest guy ever moving forward. When big human beings, he's always going to be a big human being. He's never going to play it less than
right. I'm with you there. That's not changing.
I'm just saying the foot issue causes me like Anthony Davis's vaginal issue causes me problems. I'm worried about Zion's foot problem. That's my deal. So
yes,
yeah,
eloquently put. You're right. but I can't put him at 29 on my list because there's
no, I get it. But
because even if he plays 4 out of those years, he's gives you a better chance of winning than Anthony Davis.
Top 5 on our list. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Right.
Yeah. That's one place we're not going to agree because I
get it.
Maybe, look, and I'm more optimistic than you. You like to call it like you see it. You're probably a realist shading towards a pessimist. Yeah. I am an optimist with only a hint of realism in me, right? I am more optimist than anything.
Which is good because you coached with me, and coaching is the
it's a great balance.
And coaching is the reason I've leaned towards pessimism. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, we got Jamal Murray. I got the Murrays together, man. Indistinguishable, very different players, the way they go about things, but I've got them right here next to each other. I can tell by your reaction, you got Jamal Murray way higher up your list.
22.
Oh, really? Okay. I was going to say, your reaction was, wow, we're close again. I thought your reaction was like, oh, I've got him 10th or something.
No, injuries and ceiling to me, Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you look, man, who knows where he'd be on our list if you take that injury away?
No.
Because what he did in that bubble was serious, man. That's stuff you don't see very often. Injury is the only reason he's here. Yeah.
I want to see him do it outside the bubble. I know everybody, and look, what he and Mitchell did is amazing in the bubble. Mitchell's done some of that outside of the bubble. I just got to see it. I got to see it in a playoff situation where, anyhow, moving forward.
Well, you're gonna, right? I mean, he is gonna sink or swim this year. There is no way in hell you're keeping the Nuggets out of the playoffs. There's no way in hell they don't make the playoffs, right? They are loaded. Assuming, again, Jamal's good. He's taken off a year and a half, like a full year and a half for an ACL is a long time. So he should be 100%. And then you're just going to, again, what if Michael Porter stays healthy? And again, I probably could have put Michael Porter somewhere in the honorable mention as well, but his injuries are just such a humongous concern. Talent-wise, he's pushing the number 30 spot, but there's a lot more to it than just how talented, how good could you be? It's how good will you be?
Oh, be real about this. If he were completely healthy, you'd have him in the top 15.
Well, top 15's I would definitely have him in the top 30. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Over the next 7 years, though, that's what I'm thinking.
I know that's the thing. I know. Well, I don't know. We've got enough hypotheticals. We can't add a perfectly healthy Porter Jr. to our list of hypotheticals. All right, number 22. Who do we have here on my list? I've got Jaden Ivey. This is – oh, man. This might be a massive overreaction to watching a bunch of YouTube clips. I didn't watch this dude. I don't watch college basketball. I don't particularly enjoy watching it. I don't think it's an enjoyable product. That's just me. I think it used to be. I don't think it is anymore with the transient nature of it. And just no chemistry. And, it's just ugly basketball. That's just me. It's just ugly basketball. I've got Jaden Ivey here based on watching a ton of YouTube clips, watching a minute of Summer League or however long he played. And a lot of it hinges on how I hear his peers and other GMs talk about him. Yeah. That's really all this is. It's really all about it's all about upside. It's all about what could be. It's not about what you've done, obviously, because he hasn't done anything. What do you think?
I had him at 19.
Yeah.
So, and let me go back, because we didn't talk about who my 24th player was. Well, actually, I'll wait till you call him out, and I'll tell you.
Well, we're going to get to him.
Yeah, we will. So Ivy at 19, I think his upside is Dwayne Wade-ish. And so anybody whose upside is that belongs on this list, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what his downside is because we've seen
his downside is Dennis Smith.
Oof.
Right? It's exactly his downside, Jonathan.
Yes. But, I was thinking more along the lines
Antonio Daniels.
No, who was our guard out of oh, my gosh, the Bulls guy, the guy I love so much coming out of college. The great
Chris Dunn.
Yes.
Chris Dunn. Right. Yeah, all of the above. It's scary. We've both got him in the 19 to 22 range for one reason and one reason alone. As a GM, you got to take some risks. You've got to literally take a risk on talent that's not a proven commodity over a proven commodity like Anthony Davis, whose window is much smaller. Jaden Ivey is almost too young here. He's not even going to get to his prime for about 3 of his 7-year window in our hypothetical. So that's something to take into account too. And that's another reason I kind of moved him back. I'm almost penalizing him. So he is exactly, to me, what Jalen Green is. It's just I I don't know. It's honestly it's an I don't know. And
huge difference. He's playing with a guy who actually understands how to play basketball.
Cade.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
And he's going to say he's not going to have to control the ball and make all the decisions. And so I think the game's going to be a little bit easier for him. He's going to slide right into a spot where it's very natural for him. Just go score, So I don't know. We'll see. But I think
you see Jaden Ivey as a true shooting guard. You see him as a true
combo. He's a combo, but I think he's score first.
Yeah,
heavy score first. Sure. Man, look, are there any more shooting guards? Are there any more point guards? Are there any more small forward? No, they're not. Because at the end of the game, I was talking to an agent about this the other day. You can consider yourself a point guard, but if you play with Kevin Durant, he's going to bring the ball up the floor half the game and every possession.
Fourth quarter,
right? So that stuff is irrelevant now. What can you do off the ball as well as on the ball? And I think Ivey's got a chance to be good at both. So that'll be my call on him.
Just to get off topic, how do you think Atlanta is going to handle and manage the Trae Young, Dejounte Murray situation? You think they're just going to take turns? You think they're going to try to keep one of them on the court at all times? How do you think they're going to?
Well, Murray's going to be more durable. We know that. Just from a standpoint of his body type and whatnot, and
sure,
stronger. But I know that they do want to turn Trae into more of a Steph type.
Agreed. Off the ball, running around screens, running to depth.
I don't know if it ever happens.
I don't know if he wants to do that.
First of all, who wants to do that? Like, God dang. I mean,
Richard Hamilton, that's who.
Reggie Miller, but
Klay Thompson,
right? So those guys, it's tough to do. And then Trae, I guess he's so good with the ball in his hands that it's hard to sell him on that. But I think Murray's impact's going to be on the defensive end of the floor.
He's going to cover up some holes, man. Right. It's hard when you've driven the Ferrari. It's hard to be a passenger. And Trae Young, I mean, well, we're going to get to him on the list. We know he's not going to be in this first episode of this video.
Yeah, for sure.
No. Okay, so Jaden Ivey's there, and we both agree it's just because who the hell knows? We think he could be really, really great. We think he could be a lot better than the guys that are behind him on the list, but he could also be Chris Dunn or Dennis Smith.
Yep.
All right. I got Donovan Mitchell here because he is a known commodity. We are finally going to get to see him play in a really interesting lineup. What do you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers? I know you don't have them in your top 4 in the East yet.
No. And I have Donovan Mitchell at 17 on my list. So again, we're not far off.
Not far.
I think the Cavs are interesting because their best player is their worst offensive player. Well, I'll take that back. Of the 3, Garland, Mobley, and Mitchell, Mobley is currently the worst offensive player. I don't think that will always be the case, right? Apparently, he has really worked his ass off in his jumper. He's never going to be a guy who you're putting in pick and rolls and doing things like that. But, I mean, I think he probably affects winning more than anybody else on that team does. Mobley does. But Mitchell, I think, slides into a spot where if Darius Garland understands how to play off the ball at all, then they'll be fine. If he does not, then it will be a log jam with 2 midgets playing in the backcourt who can't guard anybody, and that's a problem. Now, you can see you got Mobley and Allen back there, and that's fine.
Mobley and Allen cover a lot of that up,
So
I just went blank on your guy Okoro, who is he's a 3-and-D without the 3 right now, but he can D now. He can guard a couple positions.
I think him in 5 to 6 in the East, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I think. So, but I won't want my Bucks to play this team 3 years from now. That's what I don't want. That's going to be a freaking issue, right? They're going to be a huge problem. We're going to get to Mobley later. Bill Simmons compared him to Tim Duncan. He thinks he's the next Tim Duncan. Some people like to compare him to Anthony Davis. If you had to gamble right now and throw out his vaginitis, if you had to gamble right now, do you think Mobley ends up being a better basketball player for a career than Anthony Davis? Does he have a better statistical career? Forget about titles. Does he have a better statistical career than Anthony Davis?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't see the offense that everybody else sees. But button it up. Let's keep it. Let's save it because we're gonna get to him. We're gonna get to talk about him a lot more in detail. Right now, though, we know for sure he, in my opinion, is the 3rd best player on that team because the other 2 guys are all-stars. And Donovan Mitchell's a multiple all-star. So we're gonna call him. He might be the most important player, but he's definitely the 3rd best player on that team.
Right. Offensively, for sure. Yeah.
Offensively. And that's us assuming he's a better player than the other all-star, Jarrett Allen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and he is. He's a better offensive player.
He probably is. He might be a better defensive player too. He just doesn't have the rep yet. Let's see what happens when he eats a sandwich and actually weighs 200 pounds. All right, number 20 on the list. I got Scotty Barnes. I'm way high on Scotty Barnes. I don't know where you have him on your list. I'm assuming he was somewhere near 21 to 24 because I don't think you're going to have him any higher than me, but maybe I'm wrong. Where do you have Scotty?
You
forgot him.
Nope. I have Scotty Barnes at 10.
Damn! Oh my God! I thought I was super high on Scotty Barnes.
No,
you're giving Scotty Barnes some serious love.
I think he might be a Hall of Famer, and I think he is. I actually got to watch him play more than I thought I would. I didn't think I'd pay any attention to it.
Right.
You don't realize how big he is. First of all, okay, dude, he's got like some Scottie Pippen stuff mixed with. I'm not going to say not as a scorer. He's not the right
stuff. He's got some Kawhi.
Yeah, but he's 6'10", 6'8", 6'9". I mean, 6'9", 6'10", right?
6'9", 227, Jonathan.
But the reality is this, okay? They're saying he is 6'9", but I talked to a couple pros this summer, and they're like, "Oh no, the dude's almost 7 feet tall. Like he's 6'11", easy." Which you hear that stuff happens from time to time, right? So he's probably grown.
Yeah.
I just look at him and the dude cares so much.
I agree.
So much. He's so competitive. So when you tell me 7 years, now if you'd have told me over the next 4 years, he may not have been 10 for me. But 7 years, he's high for me, man.
Basically you think he's the young Wilt Chamberlain is what I just heard from you.
I'm not saying that. No, because I'm not saying.
I love Scotty Barnes, Jonathan. I love Scotty Barnes. He's 6'9", 227. He's the same size as Mobley, and he's a wing, like a true wing. Like he can play wing. Now, if you want to put him in there and you want him to guard Mobley, sure, he's going to guard Mobley. But I tell you what, I don't think Mobley's guarding Scotty Barnes.
But let me clarify, okay? Over the next 7 years, okay, Zach LaVine will probably have 3 years where he averages 27, right? Yeah. Scotty Barnes may never average 27. I don't know.
But maybe still, right.
He's going to affect winning more. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. I see an incredibly versatile. He checks every box. Right? He's not the most handsome dude. He does not check that box. But he checks a lot of boxes when it pertains to the sport of basketball. I like Scotty Barnes. I think he's already the best player in Toronto. I think he's better than Fred Van Vleet. I think he's better than Pascal Siakam, and I think we're going to see it this year. That's my personal opinion. And then obviously he's much higher on the list than those two guys because of his age. He's 21 years old, man. He should be in college still, like a lot of these guys.
Well, think about this. The Raptors would not involve him in a Kevin Durant trade.
I heard about that.
I got it. But, dude, you got to think Durant's got 3 good years left in him.
Yeah, and we know the Raptors are all about moving pieces to take a shot at a title because it worked the last time they did it. And so for them to say no this time around, they think highly of Scotty Barnes as well. I like the guy. I think he's the best player on the team already. I think this year the stats will bear it out. I think his usage rate will go way up because it's time, and he seems to care a lot too. And I know I hate to say this because you know how I feel. This is my favorite active player in the sport of basketball. I think the comp is Giannis to me personally. Because of the way he's long, because he can do so many different things on a basketball court, guard so many different positions. Obviously, that's a little bit of a stretch, right? There's not many people with a Giannis-type ceiling, but just like we'll call him a poor man's Giannis, Well, but he's still a rich man.
As vomitous, looking as Giannis is. Although it's got
number 19, we're moving on. Number 19, we're in our top 20. Have we gotten to a player that we think can be the best player and hoist a trophy over his head yet? The best player. We're getting close.
I have. I think Scotty Barnes. And what I did was I went and starred all my guys, okay? And I put close next to his, right? Because I have some that are just definite stars. They could definitely do it. And I think in the next 7 years, he could be that. So I'm putting him down as one.
21 years old. Jonathan, he's got 11 years left in his prime. Man, NBA prime used to be 28, 29 when we were younger. We used to talk about this all the time. Science, nutrition, the way they take care of their bodies, load management, spacing out the schedule, fewer back-to-backs, private jets, swimming pool, treadmills, fill in the blank, drugs, who knows what the hell they're doing, all the different ways to take care of your body and reduce inflammation. It's unbelievable.
Bro, and look at his body right now.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is Scotty Barnes may peak at 32 is what I'm saying. Whereas we used to say 28 and a half. No, not anymore.
Kevin Durant a worse player now than he was when he was 28?
Yeah, I know. And it's almost like it's indistinguishable. I agree. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. If this was an 11-year window, Scotty Barnes would be higher on my list, too. It'd be somewhere where you have him on your list. Yeah. All right, we're in the top 20. Number 19, I got Jordan Poole. And you're making me reconsider Jordan Poole and moving him behind Scotty Barnes. I just saw flashes of WTF from Jordan Poole. I see so many Steph, what the hell stuff coming out of this kid that, he's not a point guard. He would be a little thin for a muscular, strong Donovan Mitchell type 2 guard. I don't know what his position is, but I don't think it matters. And maybe I've got him too high on my list because he plays for the Warriors and he's so free to do whatever he wants. And he's got so much around him that the floor is wide open. Right. So I might be a little bit biased that I've seen the best of Jordan Poole. He might not be the same player if he was in New York, for instance, and had a bunch of trash around him, or Sacramento. And I am starting to regret that I've got him because he's only 2 years older than Scotty Barnes. I might move Scotty Barnes ahead of Poole, but that's where I got Poole at 19. What do you think about?
I have him at 24, and I put him ahead of LaVine and Beal.
Is he too little?
I just think he's too little, and the other part is I got to see him in a situation where he's not the third or fourth guy, and that to me is important because this year I think life's going to be even easier on him than it was last year because I think Clay's going to be closer to Clay again this year. So I think you look at – and Wiggins is going to be better than even Wiggins was last year. So I just imagine I can't see a world where I go, I want to start my team with Jordan Poole ahead of
Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes.
Definitely not ahead of Scotty Barnes, but I'm saying some of these other guys, I'm still going to want to take Donovan Mitchell ahead of Jordan Poole, right?
You're taking Jordan Poole ahead of Jalen Green?
Yeah, I had Jalen Green at 28 because I don't think he understands how to spell basketball. But
I understand. Yeah. Neither did Magic Johnson. But on the court, it translated. Jordan Poole is exactly my size. He's 6'4", 194. That is my height and my weight to the T, exactly.
He is a horrific defender. He is an absolutely inept defender.
Yeah. It has not been required of him yet. And maybe he never does that. You're right. I mean, it's hard to put him next to two-way guys like Scotty Barnes and say, give me this guy, but some of the stuff I see.
No, just be Steph. Steph used to be a walkthrough, but now at least, now granted, Steph's bulked up, but I'm saying at least Steph now it's not an embarrassing situation every time he's there. He can contain it. Now, he's older too and more experienced, but
Yeah. Jordan Poole's at 19. Has the potential to be the best shooter in the NBA one day?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he could really, really shoot it. Really shoot it. Yeah.
He didn't take great shots either. He kind of reminds me of Steph in that way. It's like, you're a damn good shooter if you're a good shooter and you're taking low percentage shots.
I think the three guys who take the worst shots in the league are all in the Warriors. I mean, Klay Thompson takes horrific shots. Horrific shots.
He can't get open on his own anymore. The poor guy. But I'm
going to tell you, man, those three dudes, all goes in open enough still.
And every shot Draymond takes is a terrible shot. So you can say the top four worst shot takers.
I
got Paolo at 18. You're going to have him a lot higher. Just the way you've been talking about him, no? Okay, talk to me. Tell me what you know about Paolo. I've seen about as much Paolo Banchero as I have Jaden Ivey. I've not been doing my homework, man. I haven't seen enough. I know he wowed people in Summer League. I know every single person unanimously was like, holy shit, he is a lot bigger than we thought. Like a lot bigger than we thought. And they think he may bully NBA players straight out the gate as a rookie, as a 19-year-old rookie.
Well, I have him at 16, so we're not far off. And I think I worry about ceiling. Like his body is grown man body already, right? I mean, think about back in the day, the big power forwards, Karl Malone. Paolo Banchero is as big as Karl Malone. Like maybe not quite as heavy.
I think he's way bigger than Karl Malone. Is he not?
He's taller.
Yeah.
But what does he weigh? He might be weighs 250. So I mean, I think something like that. What do they have?
What do they have? Let's see the moment of truth.
250. Yeah.
6'10", 250. So he's Blake Griffin.
Yeah, he's Blake Griffin. He's a monster, right?
As a 19-year-old, just like Blake Griffin was as a 19-year-old.
He handles it. He's not a great shooter, but he has a chance to be one.
Yeah.
Really understands the game and is a little better laterally than people thought when he was at Duke. And I think that's like when they saw him guarding pick and roll stuff in the summer league, even though he didn't play very much. I think that shocks some people. But like his workouts apparently for these teams, unbelievable. Like, incredible. So not to mention, he does not seem like a dude you're going to have to worry about in the locker room, about caring, about taking care about any of that stuff. So I just worry, where is his ceiling, right? So he's already looks like this right now, right? So
well, you can't. I mean, how much more? I mean, again, you could trim and you can get lean, but how much more can you do? You can't expect more growth from a height standpoint because he's so filled out. You wouldn't think he's going to get to 7 feet out of nowhere, right? He's not like Paul George or Giannis growing because they were, they look like bone racks. And how much more weight do you want him to put? Do you want him to put any weight on? You probably don't want him to put any weight on. You probably want him at 242, and then just explosive and just dominant. He reminds me of Blake Griffin. No one's ever going to look as explosive and athletic as Blake Griffin, but I think he shoots it a little bit better than Blake Griffin. And he's certainly – and Blake Griffin has turned into a pretty damn skilled basketball player, and his career is pretty much over. But Paolo Banchero is significantly more skilled than Blake Griffin coming out the gates for sure, I would think.
Yes.
So is he the best player on Orlando day one?
Day one.
He leads Orlando in scoring, more points than Franz Wagner.
Day one.
Day one. Yep. Leads them in rebounding, leads them in points. What position, Jonathan? Jonathan, what position does he play? Jonathan Isaac is back.
For a week. Yeah.
Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter. Who sits and watches? Banchero's playing. Is he playing the 3? Is he playing the 4?
I think they've decided that Mo Bamba is starting. I don't know how long that lasts. I don't know how that lasts. I guess he plays the 3 if that's the case.
Like Markkanen. Markkanen did it last year. He's more athletic than Markkanen.
Yeah, Markkanen did it not well. And they are – I mean, offensively he was fine, but like defensively it was really bad.
Yeah, that's the trade-off, right? As you destroy the boards, you kill the boards, but
Paolo will
not guard that position.
Paolo will not struggle defensively against those dudes.
Okay.
So that's the thing. It's like I think he can play the 3. You could go monstrous if you wanted to. I don't think Mo Bamba is a good NBA player. I don't think he's ever going to be a good NBA player. So,
well, here's the problem. Yeah. If you put Paolo at the 3, you're going to sit Wendell Carter on the bench?
No, I think the Mo Bamba thing doesn't pan out. I think Wendell Carter, him, and Wagner, I think it's a good deal. Not to mention, I think, God dang, I'm losing. What's my guy from Gonzaga?
Chet Holmgren?
No, the guard, dude. For Orlando.
Oh, Suggs.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being okay. I do.
I think he's the one that gets it. I know everybody likes Cole Anthony. I think Jalen Suggs ends up being the guy.
I do too.
He's more of a true point guard than Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is a bucket getter. I think Cole Anthony ends up having a career like Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, he comes off the bench, super sub, Denny Johnson, scores a bunch. Yeah, that's it. Right. I agree.
He'll definitely give you buckets. I just don't see him running a team. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I see Ben Gordon. I see Jordan Clarkson. I see guys like that.
And look, those guys can be a valuable part of a championship.
Yeah. So that's interesting because now you're sitting Mo Bamba. Again, I don't have a problem with sitting Mo Bamba, but you're also sitting Jonathan Isaac, who was their franchise guy at one point. And I know he's had 2 devastating knee injuries. So we'll see if he comes back. He might not be the same player at all, so it may be a non-issue. But I guess we're concluding that Orlando might be the most talented team that's ever been put together.
No, it's those 2 guys are ridiculously bad draft picks.
Fair enough. Well, how many point guards can one team have between Cole Anthony, Suggs,
more than the Knicks had when they
RJ Hampton and Markelle Fultz?
No, who was it? The Timberwolves. I'm sorry, when they drafted.
I remember
Johnny Flynn, like back to back. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then we're forgetting somebody.
Well, they had Marbury, I think.
Who was the other point guard?
Didn't they have Marbury already?
But they drafted 3 in that round. And I can't remember. It was Johnny Flynn. It was Rubio.
Yeah, you're right. There was another dude.
There was another point guard. We're going to have to think about that. Yeah. I'll get an answer. All right. We've talked a long time about Paolo Banchero and the Magic for some reason. Good league pass team. I think it'll be a fun league pass team, Jonathan. I like watching Suggs. I like watching Wagner, even though I hate watching his brother. I can't stand watching his brother. He's a goon. He's a hack artist. He's a dirty cheap shot man. But I like watching Franz Wagner, and I'm going to love watching Banchero in his development. So it's a good league pass team, man. We're going to do another video with our top league pass teams to watch. You know that, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I like a Banchero Scotty Barnes matchup for the next 10 years. I like watching something like that.
Man.
You know.
You can throw Mobley in there, too, if he starts eating some peanut butter sandwiches. He's got to wait on. And speak of the devil, look who's number 17 on my list. I got Mobley. Where's Mobley on your list? I know you love him. He's
at 11. He's behind Barnes for me.
Damn, man. 11?
7 years. 7 years, not 4.
I know, but 7 years, he's still 28. In 7 years, he might not weigh 200 pounds yet.
I think in 7 years, I think he will have made 4 to 5 All-Star teams.
Look, my deal with him is I don't know. I watched enough Cleveland, but maybe people have watched more Cleveland than me, and maybe I need to just go pour some more research in here. I don't know why people are just assuming he is going to develop this incredible offensive game. I haven't seen that yet.
I know. I get that. Like, if you watched him, if you just base it on what you saw, I get it. Okay. But hearing GMs and agents talk about the fact that the day after their season ended, he was on one of the assistant coaches saying, okay, who's going to meet me in the gym tomorrow? Like, he begged Cleveland to fly him up early before he even started his rookie season.
Half the battle.
And that he is a freaking gym rat. So
well, that's half the battle. I love to hear that.
Worst case scenario, he develops into a very, very reliable open catch and shoot 3-point guy who can slash to the rim going left. Who can, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is. I've
seen him passing. I've seen him pass the ball. I've seen him make decisions. He has great defensive instincts. I think he's going to be an exceptional defensive player. I don't think there's any question about that.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like, you know what? But look, I'll tell you the same thing. I thought Tim Duncan looked crazy stiff when he came out. I didn't think he was going to be a good offensive player. He turned out to be the greatest power forward that ever lived, right?
Right, yeah. And I think that you look at Mobley and you go, okay, so you got Garland. You got Mitchell. Mitchell's going to lead the team in scoring. Everybody knows that. Okay. But if you can, between those three guys, you don't think Mobley can average 18 this year? I think he can. He averaged 16 last year.
Oh, 18, yeah.
Yeah. But my point is,
didn't Jarrett Allen average 18? I mean, you don't have to play offense to average 18.
If 18's the floor, right, and then he's giving you 10 boards, 3 blocks, can switch every position defensively, and that's next year.
Yeah.
Give him 6 more. I mean, seriously, I think he affects winning, man. I do. I just need
Scotty Barnes or Mobley, pick one. You chose Barnes.
Yeah, I had Barnes. More skilled already.
Yep. And tell me where you had Banchero. Where'd you have Banchero?
16. Again, I'm worried about the ceiling compared to those other 2 guys.
Yeah. I see what you see with that. Yeah. Plus, there's not as much uncertainty about Mobley and Barnes. We see rookie of the year, runner-up rookie of the year, or right there with Cade. And with Banchero, we've seen nothing yet, to be fair, right? So there's not nearly as much uncertainty. And as a GM, if we're drafting here with a blank slate, that's going to give you at least a little teeny inkling of confidence, whereas Banchero is a total mystery. All you've seen is workouts and, a fraction of a summer league. Okay, number 16 on our list. We're almost the top 15. Number 16 on my list, I should say. I've got Towns, and all this talk about Mobley, Banchero, and Barnes is making me second-guess myself. Towns is an all-NBA dude, man. These other guys are hoping to become all-NBA dudes, and we just talked about it. An NBA player's prime now extends, into their early 30s. That would put Karl-Anthony Towns at age 33 when our 7-year hypothetical title-winning and wins window ends. I still got him here because I know what he is. He is quite possibly the best shooting big man of, at least best 3-point shooting big man of all time. You don't like him, and I know you've got him in your 20s probably because you think he's super soft.
I don't have that look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, not the most athletic dude, but I think he can dribble, pass, and shoot. And he's a better defender than he gets credit for. And I think Gobert is going to release him and allow him to thrive offensively because he's not going to have to play out of position. I know he's a 5, but is he really a 5? He's kind of soft in the way he plays, which is something crazy to say about who I think is the 16th best choice on our list. But I think he moves to the 4, and I think he absolutely thrives this year. And I think it's going to be a dogfight to see who's the alpha on that team. You don't think it is?
I don't at all. I think Towns. I have him at 18. Okay, and I have him at 18 because I think you answered your question as to why he's as low as he is, which
Soft.
is not low. Okay, no, not. I mean, yeah, I think he's soft, but the reason is this: if he were going to affect winning, he would have already done it. It's not as though in Minnesota that he didn't ever have years where he had guys. Okay, like this is a talent. The only year that they ever won was when Jimmy Butler, maybe the toughest SOB in the entire league, comes into their deal and basically says, "No, well, I'm gonna show you guys how to win." Right? And I think Butler's doing that. I think it's a little overrated, but still, the point is, like, he's got so much toughness to him. That's the only year they ever did it. Okay, if Towns were that dude, he wouldn't have needed Jimmy Butler because he's so much more talented than Jimmy Butler. It's not even close, right?
Yeah,
he's all the skills. He's not super athletic. You're right. But to me, bro, he's just too freaking weird. Like, he's a big what if guy. Like, he's now not what if from a stat standpoint, but like, I'd be worried about what the hell the dude was thinking. Like, we go into a big game. I mean, he could go get completely shut out like he did in the last playoff game. And then, the second to last game last year. And then the next game, he comes out and gets 35 or whatever, you know?
I remember that. Yeah.
I worry about the guy mentally. I don't think he's stable. And I think that he's just a guy that's not counting on. I'm counting on him more than I'm counting on Anthony Davis. I'll say that because he does the best. You know,
but you see some of the same traits. You see some of the same, what are they saying about me? What are they thinking about me? You know, who's second guessing me, which super true alphas, they don't give a shit. They don't care about that. They know who they are. They know what they can do, and they know what they're going to do. And you're right. That is my concern, and that's why he's 16th, because talent-wise, he's tough not to put, in the top 12 to 13. But I've dropped him down. I like his age. I think it's like almost the perfect age for our list. Probably 24 is probably the perfect age for this list because that gives you the 24 to 31, as far as optimizing the prime years. It is what it is. Yeah, I've got him at 16. I got him at 16. Cool. Let's do this. Is there anything you would want to change about your list after us talking through? Is there anything you want to change? Like, hey, let's move this guy here. Or maybe I should second guess. No, I've not changed your mind. I'm not persuasive. I just do this for a living. But I'm not persuasive.
I would have, like I said, I'd have SGA and I'm not sure about Fox. I definitely have SGA in my.
But that's my list. What about your list? Is there something you would change?
No, that's what I'm talking about.
You had SGA in your honorable mention as well.
I did, but if you made me moving, if I could, I'd probably put him in and I'd take.
I'm with you. I'm with you because there's some unknown. Well, as a GM, part of it is trying to see into the future, and we kind of know what Beal and LaVine's and Anthony Davis's future is, and we don't really know what SGA and Fox's future is. Maybe they develop into great shooters like, freaking Jason Kidd did and Vince Carter, for God's sakes. Those guys couldn't shoot to save their life. So who knows? All right, well, that's it. So we're gonna cap it here, and this is the 30 through 16. Plus, we spent a lot of time on honorable mention. I'm sure we offended a lot of people. We probably get some cheers as well if people see the prospects and share some of the same opinions that we have. But we'll resume and film 15 through 1, which will be super exciting. And stay tuned for that. So, Jonathan, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it. 15 through 1 is going to be interesting. Some of the guys that you have in your top 15, I've already had on my list, and I'm sure it's probably vice versa, right? Some of the guys that I'm about to talk about, you've probably gotten your 15 to 20 list. So it'll be interesting to see. So y'all stay tuned. Hit the bell icon for notifications. Hit the like button if you like talking about basketball and lists and prospects and stuff like that, because you're going to get a lot of this on my channel. And then consider subscribing. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.